The more you try to control life, the heavier it becomes. Uncertainty isn't what breaks you, your resistance to it does. Most people wake up already tense, scanning the future for threats, guarantees, and reassurance. You plan, predict, and replay scenarios, not because it works, but because uncertainty feels unbearable. Yet the irony is simple. The more certainty you demand, the more anxious you become. Stoic philosophy begins where control ends. The Stoics understood something modern life keeps forgetting. You were never meant to dominate events, only your judgments, choices, and character. When you stop fighting what you cannot command, mental noise quiets and strength returns. When you embrace uncertainty, life doesn't collapse, it loosens. This is not about giving up or becoming passive. It is about standing in what is yours to govern while releasing rest without fear. In the next moments, you'll see how accepting uncertainty becomes the doorway to calm, resilience, and real inner freedom. Part 1. Why humans are addicted to certainty. The human mind craves certainty the way the body craves safety. Uncertainty feels like danger, even when nothing bad is happening. From an early age, you're trained to believe that clarity equals security. Clear plans, clear answers, clear outcomes. Society rewards predictability and punishes hesitation, so your mind learns to treat the unknown as a threat that must be neutralized. When the future feels uncertain, your nervous system doesn't wait for evidence. It reacts as if something is already wrong. This is why uncertainty creates anxiety long before it creates actual problems. Your brain evolved to keep you alive, not at peace. When you don't know what will happen next, the mind fills the gap with imagined risks. It rehearses conversations that haven't occurred, losses that haven't arrived, failures that may never exist. This mental rehearsal feels productive, but it quietly drains your energy and anchors you in fear. You're not preparing, you're bracing. Certainty becomes a psychological drug. Every plan promises relief. Every prediction whispers control. Yet the calm never lasts. As soon as one uncertainty is resolved, another appears. This endless loop trains you to chase reassurance instead of resilience, comfort instead of capacity. Over time, you mistake certainty for strength. But certainty has never made anyone strong. History is filled with people who planned carefully and still lost everything. The Stoics saw this clearly. They noticed that suffering doesn't come from not knowing what will happen, but from needing to know. The demand for guarantees turns life into a negotiation with reality, and reality never signs the contract. When you attach peace to predictable outcomes, you place your stability in something fragile. This is where exhaustion is born. You're not tired because life is hard. You're tired because you're trying to eliminate uncertainty instead of learning to stand inside it. The mind that demands certainty is always on edge, always scanning, always preparing for impact. But the mind that accepts uncertainty becomes flexible, grounded, and alert. It stops wasting strength on imaginary battles and starts conserving energy for real action. Certainty promises comfort, but it quietly steals courage. The need to know everything in advance shrinks your willingness to move forward. You hesitate, delay, and second-guess, waiting for conditions that never fully arrive. Life becomes something you manage instead of something you meet, and that is the real cost. When certainty disappears, and it always does, many people collapse because they trusted the plan instead of themselves. Stoicism begins by reversing that dependence. It teaches you to build stability first, so uncertainty no longer feels like a threat, but a condition of life. Part 2. Control is not strength, it is fear. Most people don't seek control because they are powerful. They seek control because they are afraid of losing ground. Control feels like strength because it creates the illusion of safety. When you plan every detail, anticipate every outcome, and try to manage people and situations, Your mind relaxes for a moment, but that relief is not confidence. It is avoidance. You are not building inner stability. You are building walls against uncertainty. The more you need control, the more fragile you actually become. True strength does not panic when things deviate from the plan. The Stoics made a sharp distinction between mastery and control. Control reaches outward, desperate to shape the world so it won't hurt you. Mastery turns inward, refining judgment, discipline, and response so no event can destabilize you. One depends on external compliance, the other depends on character. Control collapses the moment reality refuses to cooperate, and reality always refuses. People change, plans break, timelines fail, health shifts, markets crash, relationships end. When your sense of safety depends on things behaving as expected, every disruption feels like a personal threat. This is why controlling people are often tense, reactive, and exhausted. They are guarding a system that was never stable to begin with. Epictetus warned that trying to control what isn't yours guarantees suffering, not because the world is cruel, but because it is uncontrollable. When you try to manage outcomes, you place your emotional state in the hands of chance. You become calm only if things go your way, confident only if conditions are favorable, patient only if people cooperate. That is not strength. It is dependency disguised as discipline. Strength begins where control ends. A Stoic does not abandon effort. A Stoic abandons attachment. This distinction matters. You can act decisively without clinging to results. You can prepare without demanding certainty. You can lead without micromanaging. The moment you stop insisting that life follow your script, you reclaim enormous energy. That energy no longer leaks into anxiety and vigilance. It becomes presence, focus, and composure. Control tightens the mind. Mastery steadies it. When you stop trying to dominate outcomes, you stop living in constant defense mode. You respond instead of react. You adapt instead of panic. You become capable of movement rather than frozen by the fear of deviation. This is why letting go feels terrifying at first, and why it feels liberating shortly after. The fear says, if I don't control this, everything will fall apart. Stoicism replies, if everything falls apart, will you fall apart with it? The answer to that question defines your freedom. You were never meant to control life. You were meant to be strong enough to meet it. Part 3. The dichotomy of control. The Stoic line that changes everything. There is a single line that separates peace from suffering. Most people never learn where that line is. The Stoics called it the dichotomy of control. Some things are up to you, some things are not. Every ounce of emotional pain comes from confusing the two. When you try to control what was never yours, frustration is guaranteed. When you neglect what is yours, regret follows. This distinction sounds simple. Living it is not. You control your judgments, your choices, your effort, and your character. You do not control outcomes, other people's reactions, timing, luck, or the final result of your work. Yet most anxiety comes from investing emotional energy in the second category while neglecting the first. You suffer not because events are unpredictable. You suffer because you demand that they be predictable. Rejection hurts most when you believe it defines your worth. Failure crushes you when you think it cancels your effort. Being misunderstood wounds you when you expect fairness from the world. In each case, the pain is not the event itself, but the hidden belief that something outside your control was supposed to obey you. Epictetus warned that freedom begins the moment you stop bargaining with reality, not by surrendering effort, but by reclaiming responsibility. Responsibility, in Stoic terms, does not mean blame. It means ownership over what is truly yours. When you shift attention back to your actions, your values, and your responses, the emotional storm loses its fuel. You no longer ask, "Why did this happen to me?" You ask, "What is the most honorable response now?" This single shift changes everything. It turns chaos into training. Uncertainty stops feeling personal when you recognize it as neutral. Life is not testing you. It is presenting conditions. Your task is not to control the conditions, but to meet them with clarity and discipline. This is why Stoics appear calm in situations that unsettle others. They are not detached from life. They are attached only to what they can govern. The mind becomes lighter the moment it releases false ownership. You stop carrying burdens that were never yours to lift. When something goes wrong, a Stoic asks one question before reacting: is this within my control? If the answer is no, resistance dissolves. If the answer is yes, action becomes clean and focused. No wasted emotion, no mental negotiation. This is not indifference. This is precision. Precision in where you place your energy. Precision in what you take responsibility for. Precision in where peace is allowed to live. Once this line becomes clear, uncertainty loses its power to shake you. You are no longer trying to rule the storm. You are learning how to steer yourself through it. Part 4. Uncertainty is not the enemy. Resistance is uncertainty has never been the thing that breaks you. Your refusal to accept it is. Life does not become painful because it is unstable. It becomes painful when you argue with what is already happening. The moment you think, this shouldn't be happening, tension enters the body and the mind closes. Resistance turns neutral events into personal battles. What you resist doesn't disappear. It tightens. Stoicism teaches that acceptance is not weakness and it is not surrender. Acceptance is the clear recognition of reality without emotional distortion. When you see what is, without demanding it be something else, you regain the ability to respond intelligently. Until then, every ounce of energy is wasted on frustration. Resistance feels like strength. In truth, it is fear wearing armor. When you fight uncertainty, you brace yourself constantly. You rehearse worst-case scenarios. You grip tightly to plans, identities, and expectations. This creates chronic mental pressure. The body stays tense because the mind refuses to let go of a future that never arrives exactly as imagined. Marcus Aurelius wrote that tranquility comes from accepting what fate brings. Not because fate is kind, but because resistance is exhausting. Acceptance does not mean you approve of everything that happens. It means you stop pretending you can undo the present moment. Once acceptance replaces resistance, emotional clarity returns. You stop reacting blindly and start choosing deliberately. This is the paradox. Letting go restores control where it actually exists. When you stop fighting uncertainty, you gain space. In that space, awareness sharpens. You notice options you were too tense to see before. You become flexible instead of brittle, adaptive instead of defensive. Uncertainty no longer feels like chaos. It becomes raw information. A rigid mind shatters under pressure. A flexible mind absorbs impact and keeps moving. This is why Stoics train themselves to expect change, not to be pessimistic, but to stay ready. When disruption arrives, they are not shocked. They are prepared to meet it without panic. Most suffering comes from wishing reality were different. Peace comes from meeting reality as it is. The moment you stop demanding certainty, the mind softens. Anxiety loses its grip because there is nothing left to fight. You are no longer at war with life. You are standing inside it. Resistance keeps you tense and small. Acceptance makes you calm and capable. Uncertainty is not the storm that ruins you. It is the wind that reveals whether your foundation is rigid or resilient. Stoicism does not promise comfort. It builds a mind that no longer needs certainty to remain steady. Part 5. Amor Fati, loving what you cannot predict. Amor Fati is not optimistic. It is courage without illusion. Most people tolerate uncertainty while secretly resenting it. They endure what happens while wishing it were different, waiting for relief to arrive later. AMOR FATI asks for something far more demanding. It asks you to stop merely surviving events and start consenting to them, not emotionally, but philosophically. The Stoics did not say everything happens for a reason. They said everything happens, and your response gives it meaning. AMOR FATI means loving reality as it unfolds, including the parts that disrupt your plans. This does not mean celebrating pain or pretending loss is pleasant. It means refusing to let resentment poison your character. When you reject what happened, you remain stuck in the past. When you accept it, you reclaim forward movement. What you fight controls you. What you accept trains you. Loss becomes training for humility. Delay becomes training for patience. Failure becomes training for discipline. This is why Stoics appeared resilient rather than bitter. They did not ask life to be fair. They asked themselves to be strong. AMOR FATI removes the fantasy that peace comes from better circumstances. It teaches that peace comes from alignment between reality and character. You do not need life to be gentle. You need yourself to be grounded. When uncertainty strikes, most people ask, "Why is this happening to me?" The Stoic question is different. How will I use this? That shift turns events into raw material. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is meaningless. Every obstacle becomes instruction. AMOR FATI does not make you passive. It makes you unshakable. When you love fate, you stop bargaining with it. You stop waiting for guarantees before committing to action. You move forward knowing outcomes are uncertain, but your conduct is not. This is the quiet confidence Stoicism builds. You trust your response more than results. You trust your values more than outcomes. Uncertainty loses its power the moment you stop treating it as an enemy. It becomes a proving ground. Life no longer feels hostile. It feels demanding, but workable. Difficult, but meaningful. AMOR FATI is not accepted after collapse. It is strength before collapse. When you practice this, fear loosens. You no longer ask life to promise safety. You promise yourself integrity. And that promise is something uncertainty cannot take away. With this mindset, every moment becomes usable. Even confusion carries instruction. Even fear points toward growth. You stop demanding certainty before acting and start acting because values require it. That is how Stoicism transforms uncertainty from a threat into a forge where character is shaped. It hardens resolve, clarifies judgment, and steadies the soul. Part 6. Letting go makes you stronger, not weaker. Letting go feels like losing control. In truth, it is the moment real strength begins. Most people cling because they believe release equals collapse. They imagine that if they stop gripping outcomes, everything will fall apart. This fear keeps them tense, overextended, and mentally exhausted. But what actually collapses is not life. It is the illusion that control was protecting them. Strength is not holding tighter. Strength is knowing when to loosen your grip. The Stoics understood that rigidity is fragile. Anything that cannot bend under pressure eventually breaks. A mind that demands certainty becomes brittle. A mind that releases attachment becomes adaptive. This is why letting go does not weaken you. It increases your capacity to respond. When you release outcomes, you reclaim presence. Presence is power. Without the constant mental pull toward imagined futures, attention returns to the moment. Decisions become cleaner. Emotions settle. You stop reacting to what might happen and start responding to what is happening. This shift alone reduces anxiety more than any reassurance ever could. Letting go is not inaction, it is a disciplined focus. You still act, you still prepare, you still care. But you no longer hinge your identity on how things turn out. This frees you to take risks without panic and accept setbacks without self-betrayal. The Stoic does not withdraw from life. He engages it without attachment. This is why calm people appear powerful. They are not distracted by fear. When adversity arrives, the person who has practiced letting go adapts faster. They waste no time arguing with reality. They ask one question: what is required of me now? This orientation creates momentum while others remain frozen in resistance. Letting go sharpens judgment. It clears emotional clutter. Without the need for certainty, choices are guided by values rather than fear. You stop delaying action until conditions feel perfect. You move forward while conditions are imperfect. This is how progress actually happens. The strongest people are not those who control the most. They are those who recover the fastest. Stoicism trains resilience, not dominance. It prepares you to be steady when plans fail and composed when certainty disappears. This kind of strength cannot be threatened by uncertainty because it does not depend on stability outside yourself. Letting go does not make you careless, it makes you precise. Precise about effort, precise about intention, precise about where energy belongs. When you stop clinging, anxiety loosens its grip. You are no longer guarding against every possible outcome. You are ready to meet whichever one arrives. This is the quiet confidence Stoicism builds. Not control over life, but command over self. Part 7. Stoic practices that train you to live with uncertainty. You do not become calm by understanding Stoicism. You become calm by practicing it under pressure. The Stoics knew that ideas alone do not steady the mind. Only repeated exposure does. This is why they trained themselves daily to meet uncertainty on purpose, instead of waiting for it to arrive unannounced. One of their most powerful practices was negative visualization. Not to invite fear, but to remove surprise. By calmly imagining loss, delay, rejection, or failure, the mind learns something crucial. I can survive this. When uncertainty later appears in real life, it no longer feels foreign. The shock is gone. The nervous system has already walked the terrain. Another practice was voluntary discomfort. Cold, hunger, silence, simplicity. These were not acts of self-punishment. They were reminders that comfort is not a requirement for stability. By choosing mild discomfort, Stoics weakened their fear of loss. When life inevitably removed comfort without permission, they were not undone. Uncertainty loses power when you stop fearing inconvenience. Decision-making was trained as well. Stoics avoided endless analysis. They gathered reasonable information, chose in alignment with values, acted, and accepted the outcome. This discipline prevented paralysis. It taught the mind to trust judgment rather than wait for certainty. Clarity comes from action, not prediction. They also practiced daily reflection. At the end of the day, they reviewed their reactions. Where did I resist reality? Where did I demand certainty? Where did I respond with composure? This was not self-criticism, it was calibration. Over time, the mind learns where it leaks energy and where it stands firm. Awareness makes uncertainty manageable. Another overlooked practice was restraint of complaint. Complaining is resistance disguised as expression. When you remove it, you remove fuel from frustration. Stoics trained themselves to describe events without emotional distortion. Facts remain. Drama dissolves. What you describe calmly, you control internally. These practices do not eliminate uncertainty. They change your relationship with it. Instead of treating the unknown as a threat, you begin to treat it as neutral terrain, something to walk through, not fight against. With repetition, your nervous system learns that uncertainty is survivable, workable, and often instructive. You stop asking for guarantees. You start trusting preparation. This is how Stoicism becomes lived strength rather than abstract wisdom. The practices are simple, but their effect is profound. Over time, uncertainty stops feeling like a test designed to break you. It becomes a condition you are trained to operate within. And when that happens, calm is no longer fragile. it becomes earned. Part 8. The day you stop needing certainty, you become free. Freedom does not arrive when life becomes predictable. It arrives when you no longer need it to be. This is the quiet ending Stoicism points toward. The moment you stop demanding guarantees, something inside you settles. When uncertainty no longer feels like a threat, your mind stops bracing for impact. You are not relaxed because life is easy. You're relaxed because you trust yourself. That trust is what freedom actually feels like. Stoicism does not promise certainty. It removes your dependence on it. Most people live as if peace is postponed until everything makes sense. They wait for clarity before acting, for assurance before committing, for safety before living. The Stoic reverses this order. He acts with discipline, commits to values, and accepts uncertainty as the cost of being alive. This is why freedom begins internally. You stop trying to predict every turn and start preparing your character instead. Character is the only thing uncertainty cannot destabilize. When outcomes change, character remains. That is real security. The day you stop needing certainty, anxiety loses its leverage. Fear still appears, but it no longer controls direction. Doubt still visits, but it does not paralyze movement. You move forward anyway. This is the Stoic form of courage. Not the absence of fear, but the refusal to obey it. Life remains uncertain. What changes is your relationship to that fact. You no longer ask life to guarantee outcomes. You ask yourself to remain steady. That shift simplifies everything. Decisions become cleaner, effort becomes calmer, peace becomes portable. Stoicism does not make life easier by removing uncertainty. It makes you stronger by teaching you how to carry it. This is why life feels lighter. Not because it is predictable, but because you are prepared. Uncertainty stops being an obstacle. It becomes the environment in which strength is revealed. And in that environment, you are no longer fragile. You are free. Free to act without certainty. Free to stand without guarantees. Free to meet whatever comes without losing yourself. This is the kind of freedom no external condition can offer. It is built, not granted. And once built, it does not depend on the future behaving well. This is why Stoics were calm in chaos. They had already made peace with uncertainty. You can do the same. Not by controlling life, but by mastering your response to it. That is where ease is born. That is where freedom lives. From this place, uncertainty no longer threatens your peace. It simply reminds you to stay present. And presence is enough. More than enough. Because when you stop asking life to be certain, life stops feeling heavy. It becomes something you can carry with dignity. And that dignity is what Stoicism ultimately offers. Not escape from uncertainty, but peace within it. Once you understand this, ease is no longer a mystery. It is a decision to trust yourself in an uncertain world fully. Uncertainty has never been the real problem. The struggle came from resisting it, trying to control what was never yours, and postponing peace until life felt predictable. In this video, you saw the Stoic truth clearly. Certainty exhausts the mind, while acceptance steadies it. When you stop demanding guarantees, anxiety loosens, judgment sharpens, and strength moves inward where it belongs. Stoicism does not teach you to give up on effort. It teaches you to release attachment to outcomes and invest fully in character, discipline, and response. By understanding the dichotomy of control, practicing acceptance, embracing AMOR FATI, and training yourself to live with uncertainty, you build a calm that does not depend on circumstances. Life becomes easier, not because it changes, but because you do. Now the practice begins. Notice where you demand certainty. Pause before resisting what you cannot control. Act with intention, then accept the result without resentment. Over time, this shifts how you meet challenges, decisions, and change itself. Thank you for spending this time reflecting deeply. If this perspective resonated with you, take a moment to like the video, subscribe for more Stoic wisdom, and share your thoughts in the comments. I appreciate you being here, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you in the next video.